This video is brought to you by Skillshare.
Well, hello everybody, I'm JayLeonardJ. Today I'm putting away the guitar amps and I'm going to show you how to get some of those classic 80s direct-to-console funk tones. One of my favorite pieces of guitar gear to collect is the amplifiers. I love amplifiers from Fender and Vox and Marshall, all of it. They all have their own character, they all look beautiful. And again, there's something about the feeling of just an amp just banging me, you know, with this complete volume. It's a wonderful, glorious experience. But some of my all-time favorite guitar tones, they're actually done direct to the console. No amp at all, just guitar, DI box, preamp, in and go. Couple pieces of outboard gear and you got yourself some cool guitar tone, especially in the 80s when things were getting really, really complicated with some beautiful stereo sounds and everything like that. I guess if you look back, they've been actually doing direct to the console stuff for a long, long time. Motown, if you think of like My Girl, all of those classic songs from the old Snake Pit, they were all done direct to the console, no amp whatsoever. If you were thinking about some of our favorite distortion tones, like Led Zeppelin's Black Dog, what they did is they just cranked the preamp. For me, some of my favorite direct tones are not distorted at all. There's Prince, and there's Nile Rodgers, which is that classic funk, like chunky, lots of compression stuff. I really, really love that stuff. And more modern artists like Corey Wong, he's really brought that sound back into the forefront in a wonderful, wonderful way. So what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to use a very minimal setup, a little bit of plugins, some outboard gear, and I'm going to show you exactly how to dial in those direct tones. For this video, I'm actually going to be separating things a little bit. I have a separate DI, separate preamp, and then my audio interface, which is going to have some plugins built into it. So that way you could kind of see what each stage of the sound is doing and why they're necessary. Now, obviously, I got a DI and a preamp over here. Most interfaces nowadays have a DI and a preamp built into it, but again, I just want to show you exactly what is going on. So let's start off with the guitar. I got Strat. I don't know why, but direct to the console sounds when we're going clean, not like the distorted ones, but the clean. I really feel Strat is king. I'm a Tele player, so that's like hard for me to say. But the in-between positions are just magical through the console, and the neck position sounds fantastic. In fact, I think Nile Rodgers, he used just the neck pickup on his Strat for pretty much everything, and gosh, come on. That just sounds already amazing, so I can't go against him. The guitar I have right now is a Fender Strat. It's a custom shop with the Tomatillo pickups, I believe they call it. This is lent to me from the cats at Rufus Guitar Shop because I just, look at it, this is beautiful. So we got our guitar, and again, I chose it because I like the in-between positions, neck positions. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Now let's go into the DI. We need to use a DI to go from guitar to a preamp because the impedance of a guitar, it's a high Z thing, has high Z, it is not suited to be plugged into the console. We need something to turn our guitar impedance and output to match the same as a microphone, because most preamps are designed to sound good for a microphone. And to do that, we actually need to use a DI box. Motown actually had their own special DI boxes. A lot of studios have their own DI boxes, which have their own sound to it. The one I'm using today is the Radial HDI, which is a little bit overkill. It's a pretty amazing piece of gear, to be completely honest with you. It has a lot of options. Pretty much the difference between an expensive DI and a cheap DI is pretty much when it has a transformer, the quality of the transformer, what it does to your sound. And with this one, you could actually control exactly how much you're distorting that transformer. And I think it's pretty cool. So this is just the guitar DI. Now, again, it's quite a dry sound, but we're gonna start pumping it up in a little bit. You can push the transformer. There's a color knob here, so I can actually just distort it. Just add a little bit more thickness. I'm gonna keep it pretty low for this video though. And there is a little bit of a compressor, which I'm just gonna barely put on. The reason why I'm putting a little bit of compressor just right up front is because I want to put as much signal into my preamp as I can without distorting my preamp. So putting a little bit of a compressor on there is just gonna prevent it from slamming it with those really hard hits, slamming it over that edge. So that's what I got with the DI box here. And again, all the DI box is doing is just converting my sound to prepare it for the preamp. So I have a preamp over here. This is the Focusrite ESA. And I have the high pass filter on, which actually gets rid of some of my low end on its own. This has way too much. So we put the high pass filter in there. And the thing about this is you can see I have different impedances, and different impedances are gonna change the sound. If I have it really low, you'll notice my sound's a little bit soft. And then when I put it up all the way, it gets brighter. It's a really subtle thing, but I'm gonna keep it at the high. Maybe I'll just, maybe medium. Just a little bit of that shimmer on top. And with these kind of preamps, they have a character to the sound. You could actually push them, and so you could get it right up near that 0 marking, just to get as much character squeezed out of it as possible. All right, so that's what we got right here. We have a DI going into the preamp, and now we got our interface. I'm using the Antelope Audio Zen Tour, and the reason why that works really well for this is because it has line ins, so I can plug my preamp, and the line ins actually skip the built-in preamp of that direct to the converters. The converters sound great. It's just a really cool unit, so I think that just works really well. And if you look, most interfaces, again, they have the DI built in, they have the preamp built in, so you don't need this, but you could tell just what I did over here. I'm already putting a character to the sound. I guess that's why people go down the rabbit hole when it comes to picking DIs and preamps, finding that magical solution. But you can go direct to the interface. So the reason why the Zen Tour is cool is it has some built-in plugins, and we definitely need to use some plugins to get our sound going. Now, you don't have to use the ones that I'm using today, the exact ones. If you have GarageBand or anything like that, it'll have plugins in there that are very similar to what I'm going to use, so you get an idea of how to do it. But I like using the ones that are just built into the Zen Tour. So this is just the sound I have, just basic. Now everything is very like dry. If I play soft, play hard, it just, you know, it's just very pokey and everything. I want to smooth out everything. And so, especially for the clean tone, so we're gonna put in some compression just first off, and you can never have enough compression when it comes to these clean direct tones. So I'm gonna go in here, vintage compressor, let's just pick the FET one. Great, so I'm just gonna punch the output a little bit more. Great, so let's dial in the attack and release, the ratio. I have the ratio at 4, it's a good starting point, pretty squishy already. And when it comes to attack, if you go fast, the fast attack is gonna make everything smooth, a little bit warmer, and then slow is gonna make everything punchier and pokier. And what you wanna do is find the spot that sounds the best. So I'm gonna go with a fast release here, and let's go find that spot. I like it right there. Oh yes, oh yes. So let's go hear what it sounds like with it off and on. This is with the compressor off. And this is with the compressor on. Oh, Oh, that's a great start. You can really hear it just evens everything out, just makes it kind of less, I guess, strident would be the word I would use. Now we can tell we have a good amount of compression, but we do need to do a little bit of tonal shaping, so let's put an EQ on our sound. Let's go with the, oh, here we go, 1084. So we're not gonna do much, we just kind of wanna get rid of some of the muck, clean up some of the stuff, and prepare it for more processing, because the more effects we add on it, especially when we get to modulations and stuff, reverbs, it's just going to clutter up the sound more. So we want to just sculpt our sound out a little bit. And I like using these ones where you actually have to pick, you see how we have 360, you can actually pick the specific frequency and then boost or cut it. I like using those because I find with the sweepable ones, I get down the rabbit hole of finding nasty frequencies and just cutting them unnecessarily and overdoing it. I find that with just less bands and very bold kind of frequencies to cut and boost, it just takes a lot of the guesswork away, and you could just start sculpting in a much more creative way with your ears instead of your eyes. So let's cut a little bit of the lows. So I have 70 here, and I'm gonna cut some of the highs. Once we get to the really high frequencies, it's mainly like the rattles and the like screeches and the random harmonics here that we don't necessarily need in our tone. Most guitar amps, they don't even really go above 8K. So let's just kill everything above 8K with the knob. See, we have 8K, and here it just tightens everything a little bit. Oh yes, so not much of a difference again. This is off and on, but just a little bit tighter, just getting rid of some of the muck. Now, when we add the compression, it does soften our tone a little bit, but I do want to bring some of that brilliance back that we lost. So I'm just gonna go, I think we have it at 10K. 10K is the lowest it goes. I'm just gonna add a little bit more at around 10K. Oh, that's nice. And you can hear that. If you listen here, it's that jangle. Instead of trying to dial it out here, once you use the tone knob on your guitar, there's a peak in the upper mids when you have your tone knob all the way up. Just taking it down to about 8, it gets rid of that peak and just softens everything. See, that's 8. This is all the way up on the guitar. And then down to 8. See, it just kind of softens it, so you find that sweet spot where it's just enough of that ring. Oh my gosh, I'm really digging this tone now. Let's add just a little bit of mids around, like, I guess we have either 700 or 1K6. Let's hear what that sounds like. 700, I'm gonna just give myself a little bit of a mid boost to make my guitar stick out. A 700 hertz boost, that's pretty much the boost you get from something like a Tube Screamer. And then like a 1K boost, that'd be something you'd get from a Klon. So let's go hear the differences between the different boosts. This is the 700. And this is the 1K. Oh, that might be a little too much. I'm going to bring it to the 700 and just a little bit less. That's neat. Now listen to it without the EQ. And then with the EQ. It sounds like there's a big veil that just got lifted out of my guitar. It just went from dull to open. Isn't that nice or what, eh? Now let's add a little bit of reverb just to make it sound a little bit more like it's in a room. This is the stock reverb here, BV Room 1. Let's add just enough. There you go. Let's add a little bit more just for fun. But now, again, as I said, we're going to add modulation here. So I got the modulation. Let's see here. There we go, modulation. I'm going to add some chorus. V12 chorus. Oh, that just immediately sounds awesome, doesn't it? Let's add a little bit more gain here. So immediately you're like, oh wow, well that's the sound. And just for fun, let's add a little bit of delay. Here we go. This one. But now let's put it in context. The thing that is wonderful about the directness of that no amp sound is it's just right in the way. It's super, super slappy, super percussive, and it really sits in the mix in a nice way. So I just put together like a really rudimentary track over here, and I'm just gonna play some guitar over it. Let's start off with the Bucket Brigade delay off and the chorus off, and pretty much build from there. Now let's add the chorus. Now let's add some of the delay.
Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. Lots of really cool classes you can take, from film editing, movie stuff, guitar playing. The sky's the limit. This month, I just finished a series by Michael Phillips called From Plant to Cup, Brew an Amazing Cup of Coffee. Here's something cool I learned. White paper filters make better tasting coffee than the brown paper ones. is curated specifically for learning, meaning that there are no ads and they're always launching new premium classes so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. The first 1,000 subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of a premium membership so you can explore your creativity. Well, that is it. That is the demo. Thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe to the page if you haven't already. Check out the links in the description below. And if you want to support me on Patreon, please do. I do all my product reviews on Patreon, and I do all my demos and tutorials and lessons and stuff like that here on YouTube. My question for the subscribers today is, how many of you have tried experimenting with this setup, or do you always have to use an amp? And if you are going direct to your system, you're using an amp sim. How many of you are doing it? Try it if you haven't. It's so much fun. It's really jarring because it's very, it lets you feel so naked. There's not much to lay back on, but it is a really cool exercise in a tone. That being said, I guess I'll see you all soon. Take care and goodbye.